The clerk's hands freeze above her keyboard. "Ma'am, please wait here." I grip the counter. $12 and an eviction notice crumpling in my fist. The passport stamp was supposed to take 10 minutes. Just documentation for a janitor job in Cancun. Not much, but better than sleeping in my car. The clerk, early 20s, perfect makeup, stares at her screen. Professional smile dissolves into fear. Her hand slides beneath the counter. I know that gesture. Sheriff Robert Dalton, the man who raised me, has made it 100 times. Silent alarm. Red strobes flash. 2 security guards appear, hands on weapons. Federal Protective Service. This social security number belongs to a child who died in 1991. The words hang impossibly. I was born in 1994. Mara Thompson. Bobby showed me the birth certificate when I turned 16. Coffee-stained but official. "I'm standing right here." One guard speaks into his radio. "Identity theft. Agent Sterling notified." The elevator chimes. Doors open. A man steps out. Tall, black suit, salt and pepper hair, mid-40s but weathered. He moves through security without showing credentials. Guards step aside. His eyes find me across the marble lobby. And in them, recognition. Not surprise. Recognition. Like he's been searching for me his entire life. He stops 2 feet away. Close enough, I smell cedar cologne. "Welcome home, Freya." The name detonates in my chest. Freya, not Mara. I've never heard it before, yet something buried deep stirs, a ghost of a memory. "My name is Mara." Agent Sterling, his badge says, gives me a sad smile. "No, it never was. Come with me." The room isn't an interrogation cell, it's an office. Mahogany desk, leather chairs, expensive coffee machine. Sterling pours water. Ice clinks musically. My hands shake so badly, water sloshes over the rim. "You're in shock. What you're about to learn?" He pauses. "There's no easy way." He opens a thick, worn file. On top, a photograph. A blonde girl, maybe 3, in a pink dress, laughing in a woman's lap. The woman has my jawline, my eyebrow scar. "That's you." June 14th, 1991, Memorial Park, Houston. I pick it up with trembling fingers. The girl's eyes are blue-green, Baltic Sea blue. Bobby's eyes are mud brown. His wife Judith's are hazel. Their daughter Chloe has Bobby's everything. But me? Mystery eyes nobody explained. Lots of people have blonde hair. Sterling flips the page. Age progression photo. Computer generated. My face stares back. Not similar. Identical. Same crooked nose from falling downstairs at 7. Same eyebrow scar from when Bobby accidentally hit me with a cabinet door at 12. Freya Halvorsen. Your parents are Soren and Annika Halvorsen, Texas oil fortune. June 15th, 1991. Your mother turned away 90 seconds to answer a phone. You vanished. The room tilts. $5 million reward. Private investigators, nothing. He slides bank statements across. Until 3 months ago, someone's been receiving foster subsidies for Mara Thompson for 29 years, $1,200 monthly. Total, $417,000. More money than I've earned in my life. Traced to Robert Dalton. He's been receiving government money for a foster child who doesn't officially exist, except as you. But I exist. As Freya Halvorsen. Mara Thompson was fabricated, built on a stolen Social Security number. The real Mara Thompson died in a car accident September 1991, 3 months after you disappeared. Bobby took that dead child's identity and gave it to you. The pieces click with sickening clarity. Bobby never let me see doctors, even with a broken wrist. Can't afford it. No school photos. Can't waste money. Moving every 2 years to towns where nobody asked questions about the quiet blonde girl. Why keep me? Why not kill me? Sterling's jaw tightens. Because you were worth more alive. He invested that subsidy, real estate in 2008, Apple stock in 2009, Bitcoin in 2012. His portfolio is worth $2.3 million. He lets that land. You weren't a child to him. You were passive income. All those years on a cot in the laundry room while Chloe had a bedroom with a bathroom, eating scraps while they ate steak. Being told I was lucky Bobby kept me. He wasn't generous. He was profitable. In 2011, you turned 18. Bobby kicked you out 3 days later. Sterling leans forward. Kidnapping statute of limitations in Texas is 20 years from when the victim turns 18. Your kidnapping was 1991. Clock expires 2031. He kept you poor, desperate, isolated, so you'd never investigate your past. He's running out the clock. My phone buzzes. Bobby's old cracked iPhone. Unknown number. Don't answer. Too late. Hello? Mara? Bobby's voice. Too calm. Where are you, sweetheart? He's never called me that. Federal building. They're saying, I know what they're saying. Don't believe them. I'm coming. I'll protect you. Deadline. Sterling's on his radio. Dalton knows. Lock down the building. His face shows fear. Your real parents land in 18 minutes. You're safe. Federal territory. Bobby has no... The door explodes inward. Bobby fills the doorway in full sheriff's dress uniform, gold star gleaming. Behind him, Deputy Jake Morrison, hand on weapon. Deputy Elena Vasquez, eyes sharp. Step away from the suspect. Sterling moves between us. Federal investigation, no authority. I have a warrant. Bobby snaps it open. Grand larceny. $50,000 in stolen jewelry. She broke into my residence at 23:45 last night. I have footage. I haven't been to your house in 3 years. Save it. Bobby nods to Jake. Cuff her. Jake moves forward. Sterling's hand goes to his weapon. She's a federal witness. Exigent circumstances. Flight risk. She was applying for a passport to flee the country. Bobby slaps the warrant down. Judge Mitchell granted emergency extraction. I'm taking her. Interfere, and I'll add obstruction to your record. Sterling looks at the warrant. The legal trap. If he shoots a sheriff executing a state warrant, his career ends. You'll have access after we process her at county. Jake grabs my arm, spins me around. Handcuffs bite my wrists. Please, don't let him... Bobby leans close, whispers, You'll hang yourself before your rich parents land. Should have stayed disappeared. They march me through marble halls, Bobby's grip bruising. Elena walks behind, expression doubtful, not blank like Jake's. We pass a security desk. Digital timestamp, 9:02 a.m. Thursday, June 15th, 2026. June 15th. The day after I supposedly stole jewelry. The warrant says I broke in at 23:45 on June 14th, but I entered this building at 7:45 this morning. Sterling said cameras logged me. Federal cameras. Time-stamped. I've been here over an hour when Bobby got his warrant signed at 8:15 a.m. I couldn't have been at his house last night. Check the timestamp, I scream. Check the cameras. Bobby's grip tightens. Shut! I've been here since 7:45 a.m. How could I steal jewelry at 11:45 p.m. if I'm on federal footage? Jake stumbles. Elena stops walking. The elevator opens. Sterling stands there. 2 officers flanking, weapons drawn. Nobody moves. Show me the warrant. Bobby hesitates, confidence fracturing. He thrusts it at Sterling. Sterling scans it, checks a tablet. This says 23:45 hours, June 14th. These cameras show Freya entering at 07:42 a.m., June 15th. She hasn't left. His voice cuts glass. Unless she can teleport, your timeline is impossible. That's perjury, attempted kidnapping of a federal witness. Jake drops my arms. Cuffs spring open. Elena steadies me. Easy. Bobby looks around. Jake's horror, Elena's hard stare, armed officers, cornered. His hand drops to his taser. I'm not leaving without her. Sterling smiles coldly. Draw that weapon in a federal building, please. I'd love to write that report. Bobby's hand shakes, hovers. I see him clearly. Not a monster. Just a desperate man who thought he could steal a child forever. His hand drops. Take him. Officers move in. Handcuffs click around Bobby's wrists. For the first time in 29 years, he's the one in chains. But as they lead him away, Bobby looks back at me and smiles. You think this is over? His voice carries across the lobby. You have no idea what's coming. Sterling's radio crackles. A voice, urgent. Agent Sterling, we have a situation. Judge Mitchell just issued an emergency stay on Dalton's arrest. He's claiming the warrant was legitimate and the timestamp evidence is corrupted. County prosecutors are en route with their own team. They're invoking state sovereignty protocols. Sterling's face goes pale. Bobby's smile widens. Told you, Mara. I've been playing this game for 30 years. You've been playing for 30 minutes. The officers stop, uncertain. Elena looks at Sterling, confused. And Bobby Dalton, still in handcuffs, still technically under arrest, stands in the center of the federal building lobby like a man who knows he's already won. See you at arraignment, sweetheart, he says, assuming you make it that long. The lobby freezes like a photograph. Bobby stands in handcuffs, smiling. Sterling's hand hovers near his weapon. Elena and Jake exchange confused glances. And I'm caught in the middle, free but not free, saved but not saved. Sterling's radio crackles again. Agent Sterling, Judge Mitchell is on a record stating the warrant was issued in good faith based on Deputy Morrison's corroborating witness statement. He's demanding Dalton's immediate release pending full investigation. Bobby's smile never wavers. Deputy Morrison, tell Thagum what you saw. Jake clears his throat, looking miserable. I did a welfare check at the sheriff's residence this morning at 0630. Mrs. Dalton reported jewelry missing. She was distraught. The sheriff asked me to review his home security footage with him. You saw edited footage, Sterling interrupts. Footage that Sheriff Dalton had hours to manipulate before discovering the theft. Can you prove that? Bobby asks mildly. Because Judge Mitchell seems to think my evidence is compelling enough to warrant due process. And in America, Agent Sterling, we believe in due process. Even for small-town sheriffs, you consider beneath you. The officers holding Bobby look at Sterling, uncertain. Don't release him, Sterling orders. He's still under federal detention for what? Bobby interrupts. You haven't charged me with anything. You have a theory about a 30-year-old kidnapping that's outside statute of limitations. You have suspicions about financial crimes you can't prove. And you have a timestamp discrepancy that any first-year law student could explain as clerical error. He turns to the officers. Either charge me or release me. Those are your options. Sterling's jaw works. He knows Bobby's right. Without formal charges, they can't hold him indefinitely. Sheriff Dalton? A new voice calls. A woman in an expensive suit strides through the lobby entrance, late 40s, carrying a briefcase that probably costs more than my car. Valerie Krause, Harris County District Attorney's Office. Judge Mitchell has ordered Sheriff Dalton released to county custody pending full investigation of the federal interference in a legitimate state criminal matter. Sterling's face darkens. This is federal. This is a jurisdictional nightmare. Krause cuts in. And until it's sorted out, my office has primacy. Sheriff Dalton is a decorated law enforcement officer with 25 years of unblemished service. The accusation that he kidnapped a child 3 decades ago based on a foster care payment that could have a dozen innocent explanations is, frankly, insulting. She nods to the officers. Release him. They unlock Bobby's handcuffs. He rubs his wrists, never breaking eye contact with me. Thank you, Ms. Krause. Though I should mention, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not running. I'm not hiding. He straightens his uniform. Because I didn't do anything wrong. You kept me prisoner for 29 years. The words explode out of me. Bobby looks at me with something almost like sadness. Is that what you think, Mara? That I imprisoned you? My name is Freya. Your name, Bobby says quietly, is whatever the courts decide it is. And right now, every legal document we have says you're Mara Thompson, age 32, resident of Texas. Freya Halverson is a missing child who was legally declared dead in 1998. You can't be a dead person, sweetheart. Sterling steps forward. She wasn't declared dead. Her case is still... Check again, Krause interrupts, pulling a document from her briefcase. Petition for declaration of death filed by Soren and Annika Halverson in 1998, 7 years after the disappearance, for tax and estate purposes, granted by Houston Probate Court. Freya Halverson is legally deceased. The floor drops out from under me. My parents declared me dead? Standard procedure after 7 years, Sterling says, but his voice lacks certainty. It doesn't mean, it means, Bobby says, that even if Mara somehow is Freya, which is a big if, she'd need to legally resurrect herself through the courts. That takes months, maybe years. And in the meantime, I have guardianship documents, school records, medical records. Fake medical records, Sterling snaps. She never saw a doctor. Homeschooled, home-treated, Bobby counters. Plenty of families do it. It's not illegal. He looks at me again. I saved you, Mara, when nobody else wanted you, and this is how you repay me? Saved me? I can't believe what I'm hearing. You stole me! No. Bobby's voice rises. No, I didn't. He looks around the lobby, at Sterling, at Elena, at the gathering crowd of federal employees watching the drama unfold. You want the truth? Fine. Here's the truth. He takes a breath. June 1991, I got an anonymous call. Someone said a kidnapped child was being held in a cabin in Big Thicket National Forest. I went alone. Stupid, I know, but I was young, ambitious. When I got there, his voice catches. It sounds genuine. There was a little girl locked in a dog cage, 3 years old, covered in her own filth, dehydrated, traumatized, and the kidnapper, the real kidnapper, was dead on the floor, stabbed in a fight with his partner over ransom money. The partner had fled. I was alone with this dying child and a corpse. The lobby is silent. I should have called it in, Bobby continues. I should have done everything by the book. But my wife, Judith, we just lost our 3rd pregnancy, our 3rd baby. She was in a psychiatric hospital. And I looked at this little girl who had nobody, and I thought, he swallows. I thought maybe this was fate. Maybe I could give this child a home and give my wife a reason to live. Sterling's expression is stone. So you decided to keep a kidnapped child? I decided to save a child. Bobby's voice cracks. The family who lost her, rich, powerful, they'd already moved on. 7 years later, they declared her dead so they could keep their fortune. But me? I gave her a home. I fed her. I clothed her. I raised her You abused her, Sterling says coldly. I disciplined her, Bobby corrects. The way my father disciplined me. It wasn't abuse, it was structure. And yeah, maybe she slept in the laundry room, but she had a roof over her head. Maybe she ate leftovers, but she never went hungry. I did my best. He's rewriting history, making himself the hero. You made $2.3 million off her, Sterling says. Bobby doesn't deny it. I invested the foster payments wisely. So what? That money was always meant for her. When she turned 18, I was going to give it all to her. But He looks at me. She became difficult, angry, ungrateful. So I cut her loose. Let her figure out the real world on her own. You kicked me out because the statute of limitations was expiring, I say. I kicked you out because you were an adult, Bobby says. And adults don't live with their parents forever. Krause checks her watch. Sheriff, we should go. Let the federal agents investigate. If they find actual evidence of wrongdoing, not speculation, actual evidence, we'll cooperate fully. But until then, Bobby nods. He starts toward the exit, then pauses, looking back at Sterling. You know what the funny thing is, Agent? Even if you could prove I took her, which you can't because the real kidnapper is dead, you can't touch me. Statute expired 5 years ago. I'm untouchable. He walks toward the door. Elena and Jake follow reluctantly. And Sterling just stands there, fists clenched, watching his suspect walk free. I feel something breaking inside me. Bobby's going to get away with it. After everything, he's going to walk. Then Sterling's phone rings. He answers, listens, and slowly, very slowly, begins to smile. Sheriff Dalton, he calls out. Don't leave the building. Bobby turns. I'm free to... Heiress Criminal Investigation Division just executed a warrant on your financial accounts. All of them. Seems there's a problem with your tax returns for the past 15 years. Bobby's face goes pale. Sterling walks toward Bobby, phone still pressed to his ear, nodding as someone on the other end feeds him information. You were clever about the foster payments, Sterling says, laundering them through shell corporations, offshore accounts. But you made a mistake. You never reported that income on your tax returns. $417,000 in unreported income over 29 years. That's tax evasion, Krause says slowly. But that's only 10 years federal prison for willful tax evasion over $100,000, Sterling interrupts. But it gets better. The method you used to receive those payments, wire fraud, creating fake identities to receive government funds, identity theft. And here's the kicker. You didn't stop in 2011. You kept receiving payments through a fake account until 2020. We found the records. Bobby's face is white. Those payments stopped when you turned 18, Sterling says, looking at me. Bobby stopped claiming payments in your name. But he didn't stop claiming payments. He created a new fake identity, Melissa Dalton, supposedly a foster child from Oklahoma, same shell corporation, same offshore accounts, another 9 years of fraud, another $129,600. And that money? That's well within statute of limitations. Krause flips through papers in her briefcase, her confident expression crumbling. If that's true, IRS CI doesn't execute warrants on hunches, Sterling says. Wire fraud, tax evasion, identity theft. We're talking 30 years federal prison, no parole, and all of it prosecutable right now. Bobby's breathing fast. You can't. I'll fight this. You'll lose, Sterling says simply. Because unlike kidnapping from 30 years ago, we have documentation. Bank records, digital trails, your signature on fraudulent applications, your IP address accessing the accounts. You were so focused on running out the clock on the kidnapping that you forgot about the financial crimes you were still committing. Bobby looks at Kraus. Do something. She closes her briefcase. Sheriff, I represent the county in criminal matters. Federal financial crimes are outside my jurisdiction. You'll need a federal criminal defense attorney. And for what it's worth, she hesitates. The county will be conducting its own investigation into your conduct. She walks out. Bobby stands alone in the center of the lobby. No allies, no escape routes. But my assets, he says weakly. My investments. That's my retirement. Proceeds of criminal activity, Sterling says. Subject to civil asset forfeiture under federal law. Every dollar you made from those foster payments belongs to the victim. He looks at me. Belongs to Freya. No. Bobby's voice is desperate now. No, I transferred it this morning. Irrevocable trust in my wife's name. You can't touch it. Sterling's smile widens. Actually, we can. Your attorney might have mentioned something called constructive trust doctrine. When property is obtained through fraud, the fraudster doesn't legally own it. They hold it in trust for the victim. Your irrevocable trust is void because you never owned the assets to begin with. They belonged to Freya Halverson from the moment you stole her identity. Bobby staggers like he's been shot. It's over, Sterling says. You're going to federal prison. Your assets are forfeit. Your reputation is destroyed. And Freya, he puts a protective hand on my shoulder. Freya is going home to her real family. You don't understand, Bobby says. And there's genuine fear in his voice now. Not fear of prison. Fear of something else. You can't take everything. Judith, my daughter Chloe, they'll have nothing. They didn't do anything wrong. Should have thought of that before you built your empire on stolen identity, Sterling says coldly. Bobby's hand drops to his belt. Not to his gun this time. To his taser. I'm not leaving here in handcuffs, he says, voice shaking. I'm not letting you destroy my family. Jake and Elena still standing near the door, tense. Elena's hand goes to her weapon. Sheriff, don't, Elena says. Please. But Bobby's hand is already pulling the taser free. Yellow plastic, X26 model. He points it at Sterling. Everyone back off or I drop him. The FPS officers raise their weapons. Red laser dots appear on Bobby's chest. Sheriff Dalton, Sterling says calmly, you draw that weapon on a federal agent in a federal building and you won't make it to trial. Is that really how you want this to end? Bobby's hand trembles. The taser wavers. I saved her, he whispers. I gave her a life. Doesn't that count for something? You gave her a prison, I say, and my voice doesn't shake anymore. You gave her a fake name and a cot in a laundry room and 29 years of being told she was worthless. That's not saving. That's stealing. Bobby looks at me, and for the first time, I see him really see me. Not as Mara the burden, not as Freya the investment, just as a person he hurt. I'm sorry, he says, and it sounds genuine. I really am. Then his hand moves, not to fire the taser, but to holster it. But Elena is already moving. She crosses the distance in 3 strides, grabs Bobby's wrist, and twists with perfect technique. The taser clatters to the marble floor. Bobby cries out as Elena forces him to his knees, pulling his arms behind his back. I'm sorry, Sheriff, she says quietly as she handcuffs him. But I took an oath to uphold the law, not to protect criminals. Jake stands frozen, watching his boss, his mentor, being cuffed by a junior deputy. Sterling nods to the FPS officers. Take him to federal holding. Book him on wire fraud, tax evasion, identity theft. I'll have the full charges filed by end of day. As they lift Bobby to his feet, he looks at me one last time. I did love you, he says. In my way, I did. Love doesn't steal, I say. Love doesn't erase. Love doesn't lie. They lead him away. This time, there's no clever legal argument, no jurisdictional loophole, No last-minute save. Bobby Dalton is finished. The lobby empties slowly. Elena and Jake give statements to Sterling's team. Kraus makes phone calls, probably alerting the county that they'll need a new sheriff. The mourning crowd returns to their federal business like watching a man's life implode is just another Thursday. I sit on a bench, suddenly exhausted. My wrists still ache from the handcuffs. My arm throbs where Jake grabbed me, and my head spins with everything I've learned in the past hour. I'm not Mara. I'm Freya. I have parents who never stopped looking. I'm worth millions. Bobby is going to prison. It should feel like victory. It should feel like freedom. Instead, I just feel hollow. Sterling sits beside me. Your parents' plane landed 4 minutes ago. They're in a car. They'll be here in 15 minutes. 15 minutes until I meet strangers who are somehow my family. I don't remember them, I whisper. You were 3, Sterling says gently. That's normal. What if they don't like who I became? What if my voice cracks? What if I'm not what they're expecting? Sterling is quiet for a moment. Freya, and I'm going to call you that, if you don't mind, because you deserve to hear your real name. You survived. You survived a kidnapping, captivity, abuse, and 29 years of having your identity erased. Your parents don't expect perfection. They just want their daughter back. But I'm not that little girl in the pink dress anymore. No, Sterling agrees. You're not. You're someone stronger. Someone who figured out Bobby's lie about the timestamps. Someone who fought back when it mattered. Someone who survived. He stands. And that's exactly who they want to meet. The main entrance doors open. Sunlight streams in. 2 people enter, and the entire world seems to pivot around them. The man is tall, 6 feet easy, with silver-streaked hair and a face carved by worry and sleepless nights. The woman is smaller, blonde hair fading to white, dressed simply but elegantly. They stop just inside the doorway, scanning the lobby. Their eyes find me. And I know, without DNA tests, without proof, without anything but the way my heart suddenly recognizes something it forgot it knew. These are my parents. Annika takes a step forward, hand over her mouth. Tears stream down her face. Soren grips her shoulder, his own face crumbling. Freya? Annika's voice breaks. Is it really? I stand on shaking legs. 30 feet between us. 30 feet and 35 years. I don't remember you, I say, and I hate how small my voice sounds. I'm sorry, I don't remember. That's okay, Soren says, voice thick. That's okay, sweetheart. We remember enough for both of us. Annika takes another step, then another. Then she's running, and I'm running, and we collide in the middle of the lobby like planets finding their orbit. She's sobbing into my hair. I'm sobbing into her shoulder. Soren wraps his arms around both of us, and for the first time in 29 years, I feel safe. Not the kind of safety that comes from hiding, the kind that comes from being found. We never stopped looking, Annika whispers. Never. Not one single day. I'm sorry I didn't find you sooner, I say, though I don't know why I'm apologizing. Shh. She pulls back, holding my face in her hands. You found us now. That's all that matters. She has my eyes. I have her eyes. We have the same eyes. Welcome home, Freya, Soren says, and his voice is gentle thunder. Welcome home. And for the first time since I can remember, I am home. 3 days later, I stand outside the Dalton house for the first time in 3 years. It looks smaller than I remember. Or maybe I'm just bigger now. Not physically, but in the way that freedom makes you bigger. Sterling stands beside me. You don't have to do this. The FBI can handle the evidence collection. I need to see it, I say. I need to understand. The door opens before we knock. Dr. Chloe Dalton stands in the doorway. 33, my age almost exactly, wearing scrubs from her shift at Texas Children's Hospital. Her eyes are red-rimmed. She's been crying. Freya, she says quietly. Not Mara. Freya. Chloe. She steps aside, letting us in. The house smells the same. Coffee and lemon cleaner and something indefinable that I used to think of as home. Now it just smells like lies. Judith Dalton sits on the living room couch staring at nothing. She's aged a decade in 3 days. When she sees me, something flickers across her face. Guilt? Fear? Relief? Mrs. Dalton, Sterling says formally, we need to ask you some questions about your knowledge of Freya Halverson's true identity. I knew, Judith says flatly. From the beginning, I knew. The words hang in the air like a confession at execution. Chloe sinks into a chair. Mom, you don't have to. Yes, I do. Judith looks at me finally. Really looks at me. You deserve the truth. All of it. Sterling pulls out a recorder. This is being recorded. You have the right to an attorney. I don't want an attorney. I want to explain. Judith's hands twist in her lap. When Bobby came home that night in June 1991, he was carrying a little girl. You. He told me what happened, the dead kidnapper, the cabin, the choice he made, and her voice breaks. I just lost my 3rd baby. 3rd miscarriage in 2 years. I was destroying myself with grief. And suddenly, there was this beautiful little girl who needed a mother. So you just kept her? Sterling's voice is carefully neutral. I told myself we were saving you, Judith says. The Halversons had money, power, everything. We'd give you something they couldn't. A normal life, love, family. She laughs bitterly. I convinced myself it was noble. But it wasn't, I say quietly. No. Judith's tears fall freely now. It was selfish. And it got worse. Every year, I'd see news stories about the Halversons still searching, still hoping. And instead of coming forward, she swallows hard. I doubled down. I convinced myself they didn't deserve you, that we were better parents, that you were ours now. You watched me suffer, I say. The anger in my voice. My voice prizes me. You let Bobby treat me like garbage. You made me sleep in the laundry room while Chloe had... I know. Judith's voice is anguished. I know. And that's the part I can't forgive myself for. Because at first I did love you. When you were little, I loved you so much. But then... She looks at Chloe. Then I got pregnant again. With Chloe. My biological daughter. And suddenly, you weren't my salvation anymore. You were evidence. You were a threat. Chloe makes a small sound of pain. I was jealous of you, Judith continues. Jealous that you were so smart, so pretty, so special. Chloe was wonderful, but you were extraordinary, and I couldn't stand it. So I started treating you worse, making you lesser, breaking you down so you wouldn't shine so bright that people would ask questions. You destroyed her, Chloe whispers, horrified. You destroyed her because you were jealous? I destroyed her because I was weak, Judith says, and scared and cruel, and I'm so sorry. So, I should feel something. Rage, vindication, satisfaction. Instead, I just feel tired. Why didn't you leave? I ask. When I was 18, you could have told me the truth. Helped me find my real family. Judith shakes her head. Bobby would have killed me. And by then, I was in too deep. Accessory to kidnapping. Fraud. I was afraid of prison. more afraid than I was ashamed of myself. Sterling makes a note. This is a full confession to conspiracy to commit kidnapping, conspiracy to commit fraud, and child abuse. Mrs. Dalton, you're going to need that attorney. I don't care anymore, Judith says. Let them send me to prison. At least I'll finally stop lying. 2 weeks later, Harris County Courthouse. The courtroom is packed. Media in the back rows. Federal prosecutors at one table. Bobby at the other, wearing an orange jumpsuit instead of his sheriff's uniform. His attorney, public defender, since his assets are frozen, looks exhausted. I sit between Soren and Annika in the front row. My parents. I'm getting used to calling them that. Judge Howard Mitchell, the same judge who signed Bobby's fake warrant, presides. He looks like he's bitten into something sour. Having a sheriff you trusted exposed as a criminal tends to do that. Mr. Dalton, Judge Mitchell says, you've pleaded guilty to wire fraud, tax evasion, identity theft, and conspiracy to defraud the United States. Before sentencing, does the defendant wish to make a statement? Bobby stands slowly. He's lost weight. The orange jumpsuit hangs on him. Your Honor, I won't make excuses. I committed crimes. I know that now. He turns to face me. Freya, I know you won't forgive me. I don't expect you to, but I need you to understand. I thought I was doing the right thing. At first, saving a child from dying in that cabin, giving my wife a reason to live. It started with good intentions. The road to hell, Sterling mutters beside me. But somewhere along the way, Bobby continues, I stopped seeing you as a person. You became a secret to keep, then a problem to manage, then an investment to protect. I forgot the terrified little girl I pulled from that cage. I'm sorry. For all of it. He sits down. The prosecutor, a sharp woman named Andrea Wu, stands. Your Honor, the government recommends 40 years federal prison without possibility of parole. The defendant's crimes span 3 decades and destroyed a child's entire life. He showed no remorse until he was caught. He attempted to obstruct federal investigation, and he profited immensely from his criminal enterprise. Bobby's attorney argues for leniency. 20 years. Consideration for his age, his service to the community. Judge Mitchell listens to both sides, then looks at his notes. Mr. Dalton, you were a sheriff. You swore an oath to uphold the law. Instead, you spent 29 years breaking it in the most fundamental way, by stealing a child's identity, her family, her entire life. You didn't just commit fraud, you committed a kind of murder, the murder of who Freya Halverson could have been. Bobby's head drops. On the charge of wire fraud, 20 years. Tax evasion, 5 years. Identity theft, 5 years. Conspiracy, 10 years. These sentences will run consecutively, not concurrently. The courtroom murmurs. Bobby's attorney closes his eyes. Total sentence, 40 years federal prison, no parole. Additionally, all assets obtained through criminal activity, currently valued at $2.7 million, are hereby forfeited and awarded to the victim, Freya Halverson. Judge Mitchell bangs his gavel. This court is adjourned. Bobby doesn't look back as they lead him away. He's 60 years old. 40 years means he'll die in prison. I should feel vindicated. Instead, I feel empty. Annika squeezes my hand. Justice isn't always satisfying, but it's still justice. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarm. Sterling runs interference while Soren and Annika guide me to their car, a Tesla, black and sleek, so different from Bobby's beat-up Ford. How are you feeling? Soren asks as we drive away. I don't know, I admit. He destroyed my life, but he did pull me from that cabin. The first kidnapper would have killed me, so Bobby saved me and imprisoned me at the same time. I don't know how to feel about that. You don't have to know, Annika says. You're allowed to feel complicated things about complicated situations. We drive in silence for a while. Then I ask the question that's been eating at me for 2 weeks. Why did you declare me dead? In 1998? Soren winces. Annika's eyes fill with tears. It was the hardest decision we ever made, Annika says. 7 years of searching. 7 years of every phone call being a possible ransom demand or a body identification. The not knowing was killing us. Our marriage was falling apart. I couldn't sleep. Your father was having panic attacks. Our lawyer suggested that maybe closure would help, that maybe accepting you were gone would let us heal. But we never accepted it, Soren adds quickly. The legal declaration was for insurance, for estate planning, but we never stopped looking. We kept private investigators on retainer. We followed every lead. We never gave up. I believe them. I can see it in their faces. The years of grief, of hoping, of refusing to let go. I understand, I say, and I do. 1 month later, at the Halverson estate in Austin, I'm still getting used to having a bedroom with its own bathroom, and a closet full of clothes that actually fit, and a refrigerator I can open whenever I want. The little luxuries of not being a prisoner. I'm reading, actually reading, not just surviving, when the doorbell rings. Annika answers it. I hear voices. Then she calls up the stairs. Freya, you have a visitor. I come down to find Chloe standing in the foyer, holding a small box. Hi, she says awkwardly. I wasn't sure if you'd want to see me. I don't know if I do, I say, honestly. Chloe nods. I understand. I found something. When we were packing up the house before the FBI seized it, I thought you should have it. She holds out the box. It's old, cardboard, taped shut with yellowing tape. I take it carefully. What is it? Mom's secret box. I found it in the attic. She didn't know I knew about it. Chloe's eyes are red. She's going to prison too, 5 years for conspiracy. They sentenced her yesterday. I know. I did know. Sterling told me. I'm not asking you to forgive her, Chloe says quickly. Or me. I grew up in that house. I saw how they treated you. And I did nothing. I was just a kid, but I should have known something was wrong. You were a child, I say. You're not responsible for your parents' crimes. Maybe not legally, but morally? Chloe swallows hard. I benefited from those crimes. I got the big bedroom while you slept in the laundry room. I got dance lessons and piano lessons while you scrubbed floors. I got to be the treasured daughter while you were treated like a servant, and even if I didn't know why, I knew it was wrong. And I never said anything. She's right. But she's also right that she was a child. Open the box, Chloe says. Please, then decide if you ever want to see me again. She leaves before I can respond. I take the box to my room, with its king bed and its view of the garden, and sit on the floor. Carefully, I peel away the old tape. Inside, photographs. Me as a toddler, blonde hair and pigtails, laughing at the camera. Me and Chloe at 5 and 6, playing in a kiddie pool. Me at 7, gap-toothed smile, holding a trophy. First place. School spelling bee. I don't remember that spelling bee. I don't remember being that happy. But here's proof. Before it all went dark. Before Judith's jealousy and Bobby's greed turned me into something less than human. There was a time when I was loved. At the bottom of the box, a letter. Judith's handwriting. To whoever finds this, these are the photos I couldn't bear to destroy, but was too ashamed to keep where anyone would see them. Proof that I once loved Freya like a daughter. Before fear made me cruel. If you're reading this, something has gone wrong. The truth has come out. And I am either dead or in prison. Freya, if you ever see this, I'm sorry. You deserved better. You deserved everything. And I gave you nothing. I hope you found your way home. I hope the Halversons found you. I hope you're happy. I hope hope you forget I ever existed. Judith. I sit with the letter for a long time. Then I call Chloe. And thank you for bringing this, I say when she answers. Does it help? She sounds fragile. I don't know yet, but I want you to know none of this was your fault. You were a kid, and you didn't choose any of this. Neither did you. No, I agree. Neither of us did. A pause. Then I'm starting therapy, trying to process everything. Maybe someday, if you're willing, we could get coffee? Not as sisters exactly, but as two people who survived the same terrible situation. I think about it. Maybe, someday, but not yet. Not yet, Chloe echoes. But someday? Someday, I agree. When I hang up, Annika is standing in the doorway. That was generous of you, she says. She's a victim too, I say. Just a different kind. Annika sits beside me on the floor, looking at the photos. You were so beautiful. You still are. I don't remember being happy. Then we'll make new memories, Annika says firmly. Happy ones. So many that the sad ones fade. I lean against her shoulder. My mother. I'm still getting used to that. Thank you for never giving up, I whisper. Thank you for surviving, she whispers back. 1 year later, Memorial Park, Houston. I stand beside the swing set, the same swing set where I vanished 36 years ago. It's been renovated since then. New equipment, fresh mulch, brighter paint. But it's still the same place. Soren and Annika stand a few feet away, giving me space, but staying close. We've learned this dance over the past year. The balance between hovering and supporting. A little girl runs up to the swings, maybe 3 years old, blonde pigtails bouncing. Her mother follows, phone in hand, but eyes locked on her daughter. The girl climbs onto the swing. Push me, Mommy, push me. Hi. The mother pockets her phone and pushes. The girl squeals with delight, legs kicking, reaching for the sky. I watch them and think about the Annika who stood here 36 years ago, who looked away for 90 seconds, who spent the next 35 years drowning in guilt and what ifs. It wasn't your fault, I say to my mother now, not for the first time, but she needs to hear it again and again until she believes it. I know, Annika says, but her voice cracks. In my head, I know, but my heart, your heart, needs to forgive itself, I say, because I forgive you for looking away, for declaring me dead, for all of it. Soren wraps his arm around Annika. She leans into him, crying quietly. Bobby stole a lot from us, I say. 35 years, my childhood, your peace, but he didn't steal everything. We're here now. We're together. We're a family. We're a family, Annika repeats, like a prayer. The little girl on the swing jumps off, runs to her mother, hugs her legs. The mother scoops her up, holds her tight, breathes in her hair. I turn away from the swing set. I don't need to watch anymore. I'm ready, I say. I'm ready to stop looking back. We walk through the park together. Soren tells a story about the oil company, something about a merger. Annika talks about the charity she started, the Freya Foundation, helping families of kidnapped children. They ask about my classes. I'm enrolled at UT Austin, studying psychology, planning to work with trauma survivors. We're building a life, not the life I should have had, not the life I lost, a new life. Bobby is in federal prison in Colorado. Judith is in a women's facility in Texas. Chloe and I get coffee once a month now. We're not sisters, not really, but we're something. 2 survivors trying to forgive themselves for the crimes other people committed. Elena Vasquez left the sheriff's department and joined the FBI. Sterling recommended her personally. Jake Morrison retired early, unable to cope with the betrayal. And me? I'm Freya Halverson. Not Mara Thompson, not a stolen heiress, not a kidnapped child, not a victim, just Freya. Just myself. Just free. As we leave the park, I look back one last time at the swing set, a memorial to what was lost, but also a reminder. Sometimes the stolen come home. Sometimes the disappeared are found. Sometimes the story doesn't end in tragedy. Sometimes there's a second chance. Sometimes there's healing. Sometimes, not always, but sometimes, there's a happy ending after all. I take my parents' hands. We walk toward the parking lot, toward the car, toward home. We walk toward the future. And for the first time in 35 years, I'm not afraid of it.